John should be able to just download his own patches off the internet.
Oh, bring this up. It's like a little laptop.
Please tell me we're recording all of this. Genius. Genius.
Email.
Oh my God, he's got to put his email. Hang on a second, I just need to put. Oh no, I don't have to put anything in here, sorry. Hang on, what's the Wi-Fi Oh no, I don't need the Wi-Fi password.
It is on the. It might need an update as well, John, because you just put out a new
Hang on a second, I've got no signal. Oh no, I don't need signal, it's okay.
I'll make it manually, it. I'm already getting crucified over
let's
it.
see how long that takes to make a new Hampton. Come on. Yeah, that sounds amazing.
Where's the off? Is that the sound you're going for?
Not that one. Hang on.
No, not that. You pressed the wrong button.
Lee, are you ready?
I was ready yesterday. I like the effect that you've got on that goes. Did you just profile that Zoom G4 while I wasn't looking? Okay, welcome back to Andertons TV. As you've seen from the title, this is a Gen Z versus a Gen X rig shootout. We're being terribly presumptuous here that if you're Gen X, all you'll like is old amps and pedals, and if you're Gen Z, you're going to go digital, like John has here.
Digital John.
I thought you were millennial. I don't really understand.
No, I'm 2 years shy of millennial, I think. Yeah, I'm 96.
And what does it go? So millennial's the youngest, if you were born after the millennium, I suppose. And then...
No.
I am the oldest.
You're the oldest Gen Z.
Yeah.
So I thought you said Gen Z came...
Millennial is older than us.
Oh, sorry, so millennial is older than Gen Z.
Yeah.
I don't even know, right. Why is that then? Go on then, Pete, tell us.
So
Tell us,
here we go. Baby boomer, 1946 to 1964. Generation X, 65 to 79. Millennials, 80 to 94. Generation X, 95 to 2012. And Gen Alpha, 2013 to 2025 it'll be.
So there we are.
Gen X.
I'm definitely, I kind of sometimes I feel like a baby boomer. I feel like I should have been born in the 1950s. But no, I am Generation X, and these are the this is the gear I want to use. And this is just a bit of fun. John likes digital, I like analog. We're just going to do this.
Yeah.
John likes modern guitars with lots of knobs and switches on it. I like old guitars that are simple. John likes cabinets. I like reading lights. So I'm kind of, we half agree each on this. So let's go.
Okay.
Loop it,
Should we do a
Mr.
loop?
John.
Let's
Yes.
do it. Any style?
Obviously not.
What's...
Blues, definitely play the blues.
That's a good little jam. Thank you very much.
Nice, Ollie.
Let's just try and be kind of, I guess, objective and sensible, because whilst we each have a preference, all the mocking about the other person's rig is really just for fun, and everything here has its place and has its, it is, at the end of the day, it's subjective as to what's right for you. Tell me about your I suppose my criticism of digital
Sure.
is usually twofold. One is compared to I don't want to say a real amp because but compared to like a traditional style amplifier, I think if you put the two side by side, the modelled non-traditional one always sounds somehow like it's not as in the room as the modern one. It always kind of feels or sounds to me, like it's how you would hear something if you were listening to it on a record rather than necessarily how you're used to hearing something when you're in the room with it.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I just, it is an almighty faff to just program stuff, isn't it? So what's your kind of comeback to those two things and then what is it that you don't like about traditional?
I mean, I love both. For me, honestly, I think the faff that you saw was like, that includes you thinking of what pedals you would have on a board, Velcroing it, wiring it, etc. That is the faff that took, realistically it was 10 minutes setting all this up.
You totally programmed that patch faster than it would take me to wire this pedal board up.
And then
100%.
it's there. And then you can swap things out really, really easily. But it's the kind of set and forget mentality that I really like, and it's one less thing that can go wrong as well. But also with digital, like with scene mode especially, you can go and just change multiple parameters at once. And I know you've got essentially like a gig rig system there where you can change different pedals on and off, but you can't change the kind of the speed of the El Capistan, maybe the drive of the
100%. Yeah,
I've
got one setting on each pedal. I mean, I've got a Kernam Ridge on here which will do that if I had a MIDI board on there, but I don't. You're right.
And I love that. And this isn't my QC. I mean, we could have done it with the Wi-Fi and done the update, but on my patches at home for gigs and stuff, whatever, you can just essentially program it like a DAW. You can have drastic changes all with one thing, and it's like, oh, that's impossible in real life, and literally, unless you have like 10 men on a parameter each.
Yeah. What are the guys that are listening to this are hearing me mic'd up but you DI'd, aren't we?
Yeah.
Aren't they, rather? So whereas in the room, obviously we're hearing my amp, but then we're hearing John's sound through this Laney powered cab. So I wonder actually whether or not when you hear it finally mixed, you won't hear that differential that maybe I feel like I'm sort of hearing.
Like sitting next to it like this, it isn't as crisp as like being there with headphones on. Like the people watching this will hear what the patch sounds like as opposed to what this sounds like in the room. But
how do you deal with that sense? You see, I've always struggled with the set and forget mentality. I always feel like on any new day, even if it's in the same room with the same rig, but I feel like I just need to go, oh yeah, that gain pedal just feels like today it just needs a bit more gain or a bit less gain or this, and I love that, it's as simple as me just going, yeah, I'll just literally change that. Yeah, that's happy days. How did you, because not all multi-effects units have got the functionality that the Quad Cortex has got of this sort of like master style EQ and gain settings. But is it just a question of becoming familiar with the unit and then getting around it? Or do you have to set and forget? Is it like, do you have to be disciplined and go, even though I feel like this room needs a bit more reverb, whatever, I'm probably the only one, so just crack on.
Yeah, well, in that jam we were just doing, I had it in stomp mode. There we go. And essentially, this is kind of like a pedal board where you put things on and off.
Yeah.
And I kind of like that. And in the video, you probably saw me bending down and just like clicking on the pedal and then bringing in more tone, just like you would do. And with, QC, I'm sure people have seen this before, each button is a rotary switch as well.
Yeah.
So I use that more than I do the touchscreen, I think, when I'm dialing stuff in.
Yeah.
It's the same way as like people still like having faders in consoles because doing it on the laptop trackpad isn't the same. And I think there's something about the tactileness and feeling it that's still kind of, it's not lost still, even though it's digital.
Do you think there's a chance that as each generation adopts a technology that they're comfortable with, they'll stick with that as they get older? So, or do you think you will always search for whatever's the newest digital? I wonder if we wind the clock forward another 10 years, am I still using pedals? Are you still using something that operates just like a Quad Cortex? And is the new generation using some sort of AI? They just leave it up to the algorithm to decide what? Or do you think you'll constantly be looking to technology to make your life easier?
I think it's about keeping up with the time, essentially, because the thing with QC now, especially in gigs and like in the live performance setting, because everything's so programmed and to a click in Ableton, everything needs to be changed like that. And I think that's why units like this are now almost necessary on the bigger profile gigs, because you can't really do that on a pedal board because it's so sort of limited in the functionality of that.
Well, you say that. I mean, you can have your David Gilmour style.
Oh, completely.
Pedal,
yeah.
you know, where it's like you've got, if you need 6 different versions of the Capistan delay, you just have 6 Capistan delays in a rack and every single one. So, but I get it. I mean, because that's the other thing. You know, people on its own in isolation, that QC is £1,600, so it's more expensive than anything I've got on my board. But actually, my board is probably at least twice the price of that QC in terms of what the individual cost of all the pedals I've got. And then, of course, I've had to buy an amplifier as well, whereas you're just powered cab. So
I think this is 800, and this is, you know, more than 800, but it's everything that I would probably need on a gig. And expression pedal. This Boss one's really nifty, actually. But
well, I think we'll do 1 minute of why did you choose that guitar?
Sure, yeah.
And then, I mean, I don't even know to tell you why I chose this guitar, because it is what it is. You all know what this is. And then we'll do a nice sort of ambient jam out with sort of clean sounds, and we'll maybe see what kind of more atmospheric-y sort of effects I can get from my pedal board and you can get from your QC. But yes, what was it that drew you to that guitar?
So with this PRS, essentially I chose it because I do like a HSH. I like the bit of, and I like the middle Knopfler thing. I've always liked Knopfler middle Strat stuff. So obviously we've got all these switches and 5 ways and push-pulls for different tonal variations, but it's just flexible.
So it's a guitar chameleon.
Yeah, essentially.
Chameleon.
It's but it's a red one. So here's how it just sounds.
It's red now.
Yeah.
Obviously, if it was against a tree, it would go
in the red mode. Position 2. Nice and bright, spanky on the middle. Position 4. And neck.
That is a great guitar.
I love it.
Actually, again, it does make a big difference playing through a traditional, well, I say a semi-traditional guitar cabinet, you know, traditional size, kind of power. Volume-wise, bucket loads of volume out of this thing.
I think I'm on about half at the minute.
Wow.
And there is a high pass, so you can roll the lows off, and that's about halfway at the minute. There's still loads of lows in it.
It does sound great. So we just thought we'd go through basically what tonal options are at our feet. I suppose in fairness to John, he's kind of showing you what options are within the patch you've created, but of course you've got infinitely more options than that if you wanted.
Yeah.
But yeah, just to give you an idea of, you know, here is my, if I just want a basic clean tone, I'm using the reverb from the amplifier, so with no pedals on. Give me just a, well, what would your sort of no, other than reverb, what would your sort of G chord be?
That's essentially like a blues breaker into a jazz
that's your
chorus.
sort of dry sound, isn't it, or dryish. And then, you know, the pedals that I've got on my feet. Now, again, I've stacked this as probably overloaded with drive and boost kind of pedals. But, you know, I might use a compressor. I don't go for that kind of heavy Corey Wong style compression. I just like to use it again as a slight sort of fattener. What have you got a compressor on your?
Yeah, so just completely bland and like plain. That's the jazz chorus, but then with compression. Again, fattener, give it a bit more sustain.
I've got tons of drives and stuff, so I might have a octave fuzz type thing. Woo, doesn't have to have the octave, so it could just be. That is from Fjord Fuzz, great fuzz pedal. Then I've got my Kernan, which is my sort of mild more traditional rock tone. I missed the pedal. I've got another boost pedal. So I've got the Duchess from Victory, which gives me, on its own, it's just a nice, sort of relatively transparent gain volume boost. So I would normally use that then into something else. So Kerner on its own. Sheriff is more of a gainy, like a gunned modern Marshall. Again, I haven't really got that dialed in necessarily for this rig, but here we go. And again, I can dump the boost over the top of any of these. Kraken, which is I don't use very often, but I feel like I need to have it on the board in case, you know. Can't play that stuff. Best chorus ever, I think, TC. Delay from the Strymon El Capistan. Do you know what? Rabir was fiddling with this yesterday, I think, but I would have that normally a little bit quicker and with maybe less of the tape echo-y kind of stuff on it, but... Cloudburst. Yes,
Love
mama! And then, you know, so again, some of those lead solo sounds that I was getting would be relatively simple. I'd probably just go with a Kernum and a bit of delay, maybe some compressor. I've got a wah-wah on here, which I didn't use, but... but yeah, just straightforward. Here's a 3-pedal kind of big... I feel like I had more gain than that. Maybe I had the compressor on as well. So I kind of feel like, I know I play 97.5% the same genre of music all the time, but I kind of feel like, I never feel like, oh, I wish I just had that.
Yeah.
So give us an idea of like, what could you dump over that sound at your
Sure.
I mean, I know you've got everything.
Yeah.
This is just...
So this is like a bread and butter patch for me. I've only used one lane, and just for simplicity, but essentially, jazz chorus with some compression on it. I'd then just go...
Strange choice of amp as your bass model
I
amp.
love a jazz chorus, because then
fair
it's
enough.
just blank slate, and then just mess it up with overdrives. And that's just a blues breaker. Like I could have added...
So a blues breaker pedal.
pedal.
Yeah.
And I've got that set pretty conservatively, but sometimes, you know, when you max it out, it's kind of really distorted but not fizzy, and I love that about it.
Do you know what the one effect I hate, and it doesn't matter whether it's on a pedal board like this or I hate noise gates. I hate that. Even as soon as you start playing that blues breaker, I can hear.
I'll take it off.
No, but I don't think you. It's almost like it's worth it because it's like there's that fraction of a second where the note wants to be there and the noise gate goes.
Yeah.
I just hate it.
Well, I'll turn it off. So that's essentially, I'll just build on top of that with wet stuff. I'm not really I'm a really high gain player. Actually, let's do chorus next. That is the John Petrucci Dream chorus.
And you've obviously got like 57 different choruses you can choose from.
Yeah,
in there,
and you've even got a chorus engine where you can literally design one, which is just a bit overwhelming. But it almost sounds like it's got reverb on it when it doesn't.
whilst you're playing, it sounds like
Yeah.
there's reverb there, and then when you stop, there's no reverb.
It's kind of,
that's cool.
It's just so washy. And you should be getting this in stereo. That's a stereo version. Each of the modulations and reverbs actually come in stereo version, so you should be able to hear that nice and wide.
Pete says that's a cheat code. Like, anything that goes in stereo versus mono sounds bigger, doesn't it? So yes.
Well, I'm happy to cheat. Then, tape delay, which again should be coming out in stereo on headphones. Let's make that a bit more obvious now.
It's quite obvious that the fact that you're familiar with this, you're going straight. You're going straight to pages and menus where you know you need to be, and you know which I think clearly that will take some getting used to, right?
Yeah.
And I'm guessing whichever multi-effects unit you choose to do, you'll have that same degree of familiarity once you've had it for a while.
I feel like, and this, brand affiliation aside, just being real, like, especially being here, I've had hands-on with a lot of units at this point. Essentially, the best thing about QC is literally like, imagine if that was a QC, but for it, you'd literally go, I want to edit that, and then you touch it, and then you've got all the parameters. It's literally, I want to do that, and then you have the parameters. So it is very hands-on and kind of simple, but that's, delay, nice and...
I think most multi-effects are moving towards that user interface now, aren't they? Gone are the days, well, not gone, but it feels like anybody that comes out now with a product where you go, you just scroll, up. Oh, there's the chorus pedal. It's like that feels a bit like it's on its way out, that kind of sense.
Like
now.
people just want and so much better. So that was tape delay. Now, modulated reverb, because chorus isn't enough modulation. You need to really mess it up even further. So that's kind of... You got a bit of variation there, and then with the tape delay, gets very spacey. Let's go full, let's do that, yeah. Oh, actually. Etc. Right?
I think, strictly speaking, Prince used a 250 hertz rather than 500 hertz with this particular.
With that one that way, yeah.
Yeah, I'm totally joking. There's a lot of options on that guitar, aren't there? So.
But that's kind of, I said it's kind of overwhelming having all the options, but with that, I now find it kind of exciting. Like, oh, I can do that. I'll just,
What if you wanted then to just dump in a heavier,
okay.
lead guitar, sort of, slightly more compressed?
So I'll just scroll through. I can scroll through, or I can just go through a menu. Let's say, let's do a rat. It's probably not the most, it's just, I just know it's high gain. Let's try something else.
I suppose that you're demonstrating now. You've got like a whole guitar shop at your foot, at your feet, haven't you?
Or some of these are noisy.
Go on, put the noise gate back on then if you must.
Isn't that better?
It is better like that, but then as soon as you play anything, there it was. You see, look.
Do you know what? Let me just, for the sake of
It's fine.
holding it down for the team, let me show you utility. An adaptive gate which learns the sort of dynamic and release.
Really?
He said. Let me just
Learns.
up. There we go.
That's better.
Yeah.
But the choking off is
I'm
more
just
natural.
not tight enough. Yeah. Anyway, so that's a rat. You can do. Yeah. Actually, no, that was a Friedman. Sorry. Still get all of that.
That sounds great, man. Let's get a sort of a loop that's a little bit more ambient sounding. Okay. We shall see you next time. So what do you think? Gen Z? Gen X? Maybe you think Baby Boomer. What would, if we went full Baby Boomer, you'd just be allowed a Telecaster and a Fender Champ or an AC30. Or maybe what was the most modern one?
Gen X. That's what it is.
I thought you said there was an even younger one.
Gen Alpha.
Gen
Gen
Alpha.
Alpha.
What would you have? You were Gen Alpha, or are you still learning to play at Gen Alpha?
Yeah.
Have you just got like a Squire starter pack or something?
Yeah, they're still on the
I don't
Legos.
know.
Yeah.
Now you've just got your phone, haven't you? Gen
Yeah,
Alpha straight
AI.
into some sort of positive grid type app
It does
thing.
on TikTok.
Anyway, thank you very much for watching. We'll see you in another video soon.
See you in a bit.
You can't. Don't use any of that. No Wawa, no Wawa, no Wawa. It's so bad, so bad.
I quite like it.